Really?
All right.
Really?
All right.
Really?
All right, all right, all right.
Really?
All right, man. Living.
Well, sadly, there was another shooting today. This time it was at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. A couple of people, at least one that I know, is reported dead. I don't know the person, I just meant that I know that at least one person has died. And god damn it, could we cut this shit out? Seriously, what the fuck, people? I don't know what the story was behind it, but god damn it, we have so many fucking shootings in this country. It's like every other day. It's just driving me crazy. Alright. Well, enough of that. Hi, I'm Chase. Welcome to Chase's Really Alright podcast. And this is just an alright-ish. It's an okay podcast. It's one that I struggle putting together every single other Sunday. Something always seems to go wrong, or I don't like it, but I just put it out anyway. This week's podcast was going to be freaking awesome. I had my good friend Captain McKay Random on, and of course something had to go wrong. We were doing our top 10 most wanted figures list, and halfway through it, my audio just took a dive, and I had to basically talk to a recording of Captain McKay, because of course his audio is perfect. Mine's the one that decided to take a shit. And yeah, it's kind of weird hearing somebody talk, and then I'm trying to respond to it naturally. When we get to around number 5, number 4, it's gonna sound kind of weird, because that's where I had to basically talk to a recording of Captain McKay. He did offer to come on the podcast again tomorrow, and we re-record 5 through 1, but I didn't want to do that, so I did my best to fix it and to make it sound okay, but I just want to let you guys know that going in. As for figure hunting this week, for someone who is on a break from collecting, I'm actually doing really good in the whole fig life department. Elite 68 just showed up at Walmart today. They had Roman, Brie Bella, Braun Strowman, no Mabel, no Undertaker, no Daniel Bryan. I'm waiting until Black Friday this year to really clean up on the standard Elite releases. It's really the variants that I'm looking for. And who did I find today? Payday Pat Patterson. Looking awesome. God, that was such a lucky find too. So the previous night, or I think it was actually Thursday night, because I found it today. Today's Saturday. I think that was Thursday. I stopped at Target on my way home from work, and I wanted to get a new razor because I have gone back to the mutton chop look. I no longer have the beard. I was clean shaven for a little bit, but just decided, you know what? Let's start rocking the mutton chops. And found the razor, found one on sale, and I also went down the toy aisle, and sadly no new elites, no new basics, but they did get in the Ultimate Edition figures. So we got Wave 1 with Ronda Rousey and the Ultimate Warrior. Kind of fitting to kick off the Ultimate Edition line with the Ultimate Warrior, if I do say so myself. That figure looks so freaking awesome. I couldn't wait. I had to pick it up. Ronda, I'm going to wait on. I might wait until Black Friday, or I might just wait until next payday and go back to Target. Hopefully she's still there. But I got Ultimate Warrior. Sick looking figure. Cannot wait to open it up. I just really want to see how well the double jointed elbows work in that new torso. I cannot wait to mess around with that thing. Also from Amazon, there was a huge sale on the Best of Attitude era Triple H figures right around my birthday, which was on the 18th of July. So I picked up 2 of those, and they're looking awesome. Now I got 2 sets of the cloth leather jacket and the cloth DX shirt. Very nice. Also, thanks to Captain McKay and DGDX, I got this helping hand soldering tool with these little grip claws and these really stiff, rigid, flexible arms. They use them to solder like computer chips and stuff like that, but I saw them using them for their stop motions, and it's something I've been looking for a long time. So when I get back to animating, we're going to give that bad boy a try. Not much else going down, so I figured, why don't we just go ahead and cut out all the BS, and we'll get right into the podcast with Captain McKay. So I do have to warn you guys, there are some auditory issues, like I mentioned before, but there's also some other issues with my microphone. I don't know how well it's going to sound, so Please bear with me while I still figure out how to do this freaking podcast thing. But anyway, here's Captain McKay. Press the old fart button and that's going to get us going. All right, so this is episode 3 of Crap. Chase's really all right podcast. Really awesome podcast. Really, I have no other funny A words for this. God, I really need to write an intro for this thing. Just kind of freeballing it. It's so awkward. It's the most unprofessional podcast you've probably been on.
I'm just appreciating it because I'm like, okay, well, he's finding his legs here at the intro stage of the podcast, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be chiming it in, but I'm adding to the awkwardness by saying nothing, and it's almost making it better for the beginning.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing I don't have a camera set up or anything like that because my face is just like beet red.
You've been outside?
It's like I know. It's like when we're not trying to talk podcasts or talk shop or I'm trying to interview somebody. I don't give a fuck. I'll say whatever. But then it's like, okay, do a podcast intro. That's catchy. Fuck. Oh, it's the most awkward thing in the world. So, episode 3 of the podcast, special guest, Captain McKay Random. You know him, you love him. Jesus Christ, man. You have turned it up to 11 with your animations. I don't know if you guys have seen on his Instagram stories and his little clips on YouTube. Dude is just banging it out right now. Like you, DGDX, Battle Stories, you guys, like animation-wise, you're just absolutely killing it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. A lot of that, I will say, comes back around to you because I have the Dragon Frame software that you graciously let me basically just borrow off of you for for all this, and your old camera too that I bought like some time ago now that was synced up pretty well with the program. So I've been just doing a lot of different things that I haven't been able to try before, and I'm like, hang on, I could actually make this look a lot better if I just use who would have thought using the appropriate tools will actually improve your product. So hey, I'm happy, man. It's coming out good. I'm having fun doing it.
Nice. And she's treating you all right?
Oh, yeah. No problems at all. I'm actually thinking I'm going to need to get a one of those, basically an AC adapter thing. I saw on Amazon. There's a couple of good ones, so I'm going to grab one of those just because my biggest problem is just the battery dies after, a pretty good length of time. I still get some use out of it. But
Jesus. I can't tell you how much that fucking frustrates me.
I've had a few times where I've been, on a roll, and then it just dies out on me. I'm like, oh, man, kind of takes a little of the momentum away. So I just have to spend the money and pick one of those things up. But besides that, I've had no issues at all. It's great.
Right on. That's great to hear. That's the worst thing is when I had that camera, it came with 3 or 4 backup batteries that somebody bought for it, and none of them worked. They would last 10 minutes and then die. It'd take an hour and a half to charge the fuckers, and then they would die after 10 minutes.
It sucks.
So you're trying to find an AC adapter, right?
Yeah, I've looked on Amazon. I have some gift cards to Amazon that I'm just waiting for the right moment to use, and just little things here and there. I'm just let me add this to the cart and see, just what I can find. Hopefully something works. So I typed in the model number and then the AC adapter thing, and 1 or 2 things came up, and this one has pretty good reviews, so I'll probably just go for it whenever I get around to ordering stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, seriously, just watching your guys' Instagram stories, I see so many different tools that I never would have thought to use. A couple years ago, I thought, oh, what if I got a boom microphone stand thing that people use for podcasts, and I'll hang my string and the figures on it. That didn't really pan out. But then I see you and DG. You guys are using these arm things that are typically used for soldering. Soldering microchips or things together, and you guys are using those as arms to hold up figures. How well did those things actually work?
This has been working great for me, and that's all him. He was the one that I first saw him using that. I'm like, what's that thing you got gimmicking up your figures like that, so I can basically just try and buy one for myself. And so he showed me that.
Yeah,
and
because he did that with his Dr. Octopus figure. He used it for his arms, right?
I'm not entirely sure. He may have, but if not, that's some other kind of mod altogether. I've seen a bunch of people take that new Marvel Legends Doc Ock figure and just put, I don't know if it was what do you call it? Like desk lamps or whatever, like with that adjustable, flexible like wire type thing. They use that and they attach those to the figure, and it looks awesome. But yeah, this thing, I just asked him what it was, so he showed me, and it's really versatile for what I use it for. I can put something on the base of it to kind of weigh it down, so that way like it can suspend. I've been using it with the Storm figures lately, and Storm figures have considerable weight to them compared to some other ones. So like,
oh no kidding,
it might you just have a figure up there, it might tip the whole thing over. But if you put something on the base of the stand, then it holds its pose, and it's actually really good. I've been trying to actually modify mine with like I took green tape and wrapped it around, so that way if I wanted to, I could just chroma key out the entire stand. And I've had limited like success rate with that. For the most part, I think it's easier just to edit the whole thing out and it looks better. But it's just like I said, it's just kind of trial and error for me right now. I got all these new options. I'm like, well, let me see if this works. Let's try that.
Those things they have, trying to describe what it is. It's like you have a base, and then you have like 6 different flexible arm things that come out of the base, so you could like take them off as you need them. But then there's also like a pinching kind of grip claw to it, right?
Yeah, it's basically that's what it is. It's just like a little as you say, it's like a little claw thing that's like pressure loaded, so like it'll just stay gripping on something. There's like little rubber tips on it, so you can attach it to like any loose piece of your figure and it won't like scratch it or damage it or anything. The one I made, I actually I took, I don't know if it was like Chun-Li's like clear stand with like the little the pincer things, and I like put that like I fastened that and then tried that too. So it's just a different option I have. Like if I can't find like a thing that the gripper thing can like hold on to, I at least have that like just clear option too. So it's different things I'm trying. So far I've had some pretty good success with it.
Nice. So you remember when you were doing the Street Fighter intro things for the big huge Street Fighter review thing that sadly didn't pan out, but I am working on it.
Yes, yeah.
Now, yeah, so it's like, and the Sub-Zero stuff you did for Chino One Marino's channel.
Oh yeah, sure.
Where it's like you're trying to mimic video game motions using the figures. First of all, I gotta say, that shit was, and I'm trying not to sound young, but that shit was fucking lit.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't mind sounding young. Keeps me relevant, I guess, since most of the people watching these animations are probably young too, so I got to talk like them.
Yeah. I mean, yours and everybody that was involved in that thing, like, that was just so creative, and I absolutely loved it. I had an idea about 3 years ago that I just haven't had time to do, and I don't know if I'm ever going to do it, so I'm just throwing it out there in case anyone ever wants to jump on it. But I had an idea for a WWE beat-em-up style YouTube series. You remember how you were talking about your series of, and I don't know if I'm going to spoil things for people, where it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure thing?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Kind of like that, but you're just selecting the next level, and you're selecting your fighter. So my original idea was that you have 4 wrestlers, like, let's say Roman Reigns, and this was 3 years ago, so these were the people on the top of my head. It was like Roman Reigns, John Cena, Finn Balor, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And they're like backstage, and you're using action figures, but you kind of lower the resolution enough to where it looks like video game sprite artwork.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But you can still clearly tell who these people are, and you're telling the story using like single frame pictures, the way a lot of people do on Instagram, like Matt Goldberg, V Trigger Figs, SLS Animations, where they're trying to you're trying to tell a story with just these one pictures, and because it's sort of mimicking 16-bit video games with that style of capturing the photo and then putting text below it telling the story, where like my idea was to have like these 4 wrestlers, the McMahon show up and they're just super tyrannical. They're burying these guys and they're putting like Triple H and all these other guys above them, so they decide we're gonna fight back and take back WWE or whatever. And the storyline would be you're watching what would look like the beat 'em up of like Final Fight or Streets of Rage, but with WWE characters.
That's cool. Actually, I'm picturing it in my head now, and I'm picturing like the cutscenes almost being like you get to the end and it's like a almost Mega Man X cutscene where like Triple H comes out and it's like and he's like, ha ha ha, I've come to bury you or whatever. Like, and you got your little sprite guys fighting them.
Exactly. Like, and you would film the wrestlers exactly like how you guys were animating them, or I guess I should say animate them instead of filming. But you know what I
Yeah.
meant. But yeah, you'd animate. Like, basically my idea was to like look at Final Fight and Street Fighter and look at the sprite animations of how they would walk, and then I would just mimic that with the figures on a green screen, chroma key it out, put it in Power Director or whatever software I was going to use, and then just like map where they're going to go. So like take an entire animation thing, walking, him throwing punches, going this way, throwing kicks or doing grapple moves, and then just like put it on the timeline, but use like the motion tracker after you chroma key out all the blue or green background, and just watch it move as if you're watching a video game level progress.
That's really cool.
And the reason why I had this idea was because I was buying a lot of those Creative Superstars at the time.
Oh,
And-
yes, I remember those.
Yeah, the one that sparked this idea was the Goldust one, because he was in like this godly like pharaoh garb. Like he has this big Egyptian headdress thing and a staff, and he's got like this gold-plated armor. I was like, Jesus, he looks like a video game boss. And I was like, oh, holy shit, this would be amazing. So like you'd have like Finn Balor start off in like the backstage, like you'd go through your stage selection like in like the old Ninja Turtle games. It'd be like Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, John Cena, Shinsuke, and like you choose Finn Balor. Or if you wanted to see how Roman Reigns would play, you see Roman Reigns, and he would do the first level too. Like the first level would be like the backstage area, and you're trying to fight through McMahon's goons, who would be the security guards from the Creative Superstar wave.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And yeah, because you can swap out all the different parts on him. So, you'd have one guy look kind of normal, and then, oh, here come the much harder guys. Now they have the metal arms, and they've got the helmets and the riot shields on their back. So their animations are going to be somewhat different. And then it's like, oh, wait, now here comes a guy, and he's completely shirtless, and he's got a mean face. So this guy's going to do a shit ton of damage, and you just have to avoid them. So I was like, this is like endless possibilities, because those Creative Superstars, they were very versatile.
I remember seeing those and thinking, like, a lot of them actually, like, I think it might have been the Roman Reigns one, where it was just like, right, if I don't even care about Roman Reigns, I could still buy one of these and just have, like, kind of some SWAT team shield agent looking guy, like, and just, I could pop, like, metal arms on him, or, like, different, like armor gear, I guess, like, all this different options. Like, you don't even have to be a wrestling fan to see the appeal of something like that.
The Rock, he came with like a Brahma Bull helmet, like something from Game of Thrones, and he had like all this armor and shit on. And yeah, like you're saying, someone who's not into wrestling would see this and go, "Hey, I know The Rock. Whoa, he looks badass like this. I'm gonna get this toy for my kid, or I'm just gonna get it for me." But continue on from the story. Yeah, so it's like you'd start off backstage, work your way through the guys, and like the first boss on this thing would have been like Shane McMahon or something. So you beat him, and then the next one is you start at the top of like the Raw or the SmackDown stage, and you're fighting your way down there through goons and stuff like that, and then you go into the crowd, you go in behind the announcer's table desk, and then finally like you'd fight the boss, which would be Triple H in the ring. And then it looks like you're about to beat him, but then McMahon comes out and basically fires you, which means you go to hell. And obviously you're in hell, you're fighting all of these guys, which, okay, so Dean Ambrose's Creative Superstar was like, he's like this weird executioner torturer type guy. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, Dean got the complete shaft on this. Like, Roman got the security guard with the shield. Seth Rollins was a freaking samurai. What do we have for Dean Ambrose? Oh, he's into BDSM. It's such good shit.
Even then, they were planting the seeds for him to want to leave. Like,
yeah,
the action figure. That's the start of it all. He didn't say that on Jericho's podcast, but that was it. He didn't talk about the action figure.
Yeah, it was his fucking Creative Superstar. It's just like, God damn it, Vince. You told people mine and Renee's kinks. You son of a bitch.
That's it.
Oh God. No, you should have seen Rusev's. Rusev's was pretty bad. He was a fucking bear. And
I remember that. Yeah,
he came with bear
God.
traps. Oh my God.
For every good one there was definitely like a few made me just like, what is this? Like, come on.
Yeah, there was some jank. You go to hell, you fight a bunch of Dean Ambroses in their torture gear, and the boss of that would have been Kane.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, yeah. So that was my idea for it. I was just like, man, I would have just loved an actual WWE beat 'em up game. I mean, that's something that really sucks about this last generation of games, from like the PS4 and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of AAA studios doing weird shit or doing things that are just different from the norm. Like the last wrestling game, and I keep talking about it a lot lately, was WWE All-Stars, where it was like, this is new, this is different, I want more of this. Yes, keep giving me your sim-type game or your yearly update game, whatever. Just throw something new our way every once in a while. I don't want to have to go to fucking mobile games to get something that's a little bit more over the top.
I guess they're just playing it safe with the 2K games now, because I mean, like, what was it? The All Stars was like the last big risk that they took, I suppose, with these games. And it's not even like it was that risky, because it was still a wrestling game in a wrestling ring with wrestlers. Like, it's not like they're totally like throwing all the like what needs to be there. They're not just throwing it out the window. But like, yeah, where's the harm in doing something like that? You know, like you're just saying, the exact thing you described could work as like a 16-bit style side scroller, just beat them up. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like they'd rather just play it safe and put out, you know, their 2K games that everybody eats up.
They would just rather put out the same thing every year that they know makes money, which has
Yeah.
been WWE's problem for the last decade. We'd rather just put the same thing on TV, and every once in a while we'll give you something, but now you're going to get the same thing every single week. You're going to get, and now you're going to get the same thing in a video game form every single year. I mean, at least with last year's game, 2K19, they put in a story mode, and I haven't really had a chance to play through it because I fucking hate the controls in this game. The last thing I tried to do, like me and my guy, there's like a guy you team up with, we're still doing like this weird like invasion. We're doing like this weird invasion angle in NXT, kind of like DX, how they invaded WCW.
Oh, okay.
And you have to do like a tornado tag match against the Authors of Pain, and I try, but these fucking controls, I just can't do it. I can beat the motherfucking APA in the hardcore mode or the hardcore championship storyline on No Mercy. It might take me a few tries, but I'm gonna have fun doing it. I can't get through this one match with the Authors of Pain because the fucking controls are just so terrible, and it's not fun to play. I get hit one time, I'm on the ground for like 10 seconds because my guy has to sell.
That's the worst part about these. It's like you took the fun out of the games and replaced it with like realism, and
Yeah.
and wrestling fans, like, if you're playing a game, you just want to do the wrestling moves. You don't want to sit there and like worry about the psychology of, you know, your match selling and stuff like that, because you're not meant to be in on that. As a video game player, like with No Mercy, even though, you know, by then the kayfabe was shattered, everybody was in on it, and everybody knows what wrestling is at that point. But like, you know, if your character is laying around on the ground selling, it's because he's just had some move done to him that hurt him. Like, you don't need to sit there and be like, oh man, well now my guy's got to sell. As a player, you're like, oh man, my guy just got hurt because somebody, you know, threw a chair at him or something. Like, or did a pedigree or something. Like, they try so hard to like make it so, I think, authentic to what a wrestler might appreciate that. But a guy just playing a video game wants to beat up his friend, it's kind of lost on him, and he's just going to think it's like too much unnecessary stuff.
It's like going from book to movie form. Some guy is so dedicated to the book, he wants to translate the book perfectly to movie. If you do that, you're going to end up with like a 13-hour long movie. You gotta take the best shit of what this book is and turn it into an hour and a half to 2 hours long. That's the same thing when it comes to wrestling in video games. Like, if we had realistic proportions on, let's say, the action figures all the time, they would look pretty plain and generic most of the time. You have to like put the mental image of this wrestler into like an action figure form. So obviously you exaggerate some proportions, or you put a little bit more muscle tone or something like that. When it comes to the video games, if you're trying to emulate what people feel about professional wrestling, people don't want to sit there and watch a guy on the ground flop around and be like, ow, ow, my arm. Like, No Mercy, and even to some extent, some of the later SmackDown games did it better, where it was like, okay, this guy has a bum leg. He's not going to sit there on the ground for 15 seconds going, ow, ow, my leg. Like, you'll do the move while the guy who did the move is getting up or doing something. The guy on the ground is selling, but he's still getting up to his feet. So you have a chance to come back, but now he's going to sell an injured leg. Where it's like in these new games, it's like, oh, I do a knee drop or just like, let's say like a freaking scoop slam. The guy has to flop around after he takes the slam. He then has to, while he's still on the ground, sit up and clutch his back and then go back down into laying for however long that's going to take. And then he has to get up. Like, and you have the opportunity to counter it. But let's say like you go to grab the guy, you hit the counter button. The guy on the ground now has to like roll out of the way and get up. In the meantime, the guy who's doing the move, nothing happens to him. The guy that got countered. So while you're trying to get back up, the guy can just get right back on top of you. And I get it in these newer games. Like, they put in this like reversal system where you have like 4 to 5 chances to reverse it, and then it stops, and now you're on a cooldown meter. Did the older games have that? Fuck no, they didn't. They never they never suffered from this problem.
The old games was like, if you press the button in time, it works, and if you don't, then it doesn't work, and you get punched or you get slammed or whatever. Like, it's so much simpler. Mm-hmm. Even before I was a wrestling fan, like before I even cared about wrestling, I was able to put on WCW the World Tour and just pick a guy, be like, all right, I know how to play. Let's go. Like, it's fun. I didn't care about who the wrestlers were at that point. I didn't know. Like, it was just like, it's just a fun game. Me and 3 of my friends can put this on at somebody's house and just, hit each other. And we understand how to win, and we know what's going to happen. Like, if you try to give 2K19 now to somebody who, just doesn't either know or doesn't care necessarily about wrestling,
yeah,
even if it is the most fun wrestling game in the world, like, if they don't pick up on how to play it, then they're not going to be interested. You're just isolating the audience who, even if they don't care about your product, might still enjoy your game.
So it's like when you're trying to play Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. You can mash buttons. You can literally just hand this controller to anyone, and they can just mash buttons. But eventually they will get it. They'll understand how to play it. Whereas with these new 2K games, and you could do that with the older games, the older wrestling games, you can hand someone a controller to No Mercy or SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. They'll be able to figure out how to do this within like an hour. Whereas with these new 2K games, I've been playing every single 2K game okay, I'm trying to figure out the best fucking way to say this. I have played every single incarnation of SmackDown from the very beginning up until now. These 2K game controls are so fucking convoluted and so bad and so delayed. I don't even know how to do everything. And I've been playing them my entire life.
Doesn't say much about the games when, like, year after year, people still have the same complaints, and they're like, but by God, we've got this now, and it's like the feature that was in the older games. And they're like, yeah, well, where did it go? You had it like 10 years ago, and you just got you got rid of it.
Yeah, it's fun to sit there and like kind of sim the matches sometimes. You just put like the computer on the highest difficulty and then hit simulate and watch it. It is kind of fun, but that's not really why you buy these games. You buy these games because you want to play them.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so that's my long rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The controls in the new wrestling game are still... It was a little bit of a short fart on that one. It could have been longer. That would have been more helpful. All right, so I guess before we get into the top 10, we should probably do some movie recommendations.
I'm down. What'd you see lately?
Well, thankfully, I got to see Godzilla King of the Monsters right before it left theaters.
Awesome.
It was down to literally one showing per day, and I got in at the last minute. I was supposed to see it when me, my girlfriend, and her brother went to Arizona. We were like, God damn, it is hot out. let's go see a movie and just chill off for a few hours. They did. She was kind of, I could see Godzilla, but he didn't want to see it. And then they're like, oh, let's go see Aladdin. I'm like, I am not seeing Aladdin. No. So we ended up choosing Brightburn, which was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that a lot.
I was actually curious about that one because I see the ads all over like YouTube and everything, and then like I remember thinking the concept looked interesting, and then just never hearing anybody talk about the movie or like say whether it was good or bad.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It's basically just the Superman premise, but completely flipped. So, bad kid versus good kid.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they go pretty far into like the horror element of it, and like, wow, this would be really horrifying if Superman was actually like this. Like, imagine like a young kid going through puberty and having no boundaries whatsoever, being able to do whatever he wanted. Like, Jesus, that's a fucking scary thought.
DC just glossed over that when they're like, now he's an adult. Don't think about that.
Like, Clark Kent just like undressing all these women with his X-ray vision. He could do that. Just he's just like sitting there on the corner in like some ice cream shop in Smallville, Kansas, and he's just perving out on everybody. That's one of the things that I'm actually kind of glad they didn't do in Brightburn, because it's like, okay, I don't think I need to see that, but that's where this could have gone.
Like, had this kid only been a little lazier, he could have used his powers for just even more nefarious means.
Yeah, I know, because he like totally creeps on this girl in his class, and it's just like, oh my god, please don't go in this direction. Like, there's a show that just came out on Amazon Prime. It's called The Boys.
I've heard good things. I got to check it out.
Yeah, I was up until almost 3 o'clock in the morning last night. I was binge watching it. I think I still have 5 episodes to go, but goddamn, that got me. I've been wanting to read the graphic novel series because it's written by one of my favorite authors. His name is Garth Ennis. He did the Punisher. Yeah, he did the Punisher and Preacher and a bunch of other books.
Preacher. Okay, that's the name I think I remember him being attached to. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm. But basically, it's sort of the same thing. Like, there's a Superman character in there that plays the good guy in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes, like, complete total monster. That's kind of what Brightburn is.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
That's a good concept.
Yeah. Well, now that we've deviated from Godzilla, let's try to get back around to the King of the Monsters here. Yeah, so went and saw that. It got pretty hammered with the reviews, so I was just like, man, that kind of sucks, because the first one actually got really good reviews. Like, I think it was more critically favored than audience favored it, whereas this is like the reverse. Critics were really harsh on King of the Monsters, and audiences seemed to really like it.
Yeah, I don't really understand the dynamic there. Like, I mean, I understand the audience liking it, but at the same time, like, the audience understands what they're going to get from a Godzilla movie, and they're paying to see that. They're not paying to see some Oscar-nominated, drama with all these different plot twists, and like, you're not going to get all that. It's Godzilla. You're going to get big monsters fighting, and if you like it, this is the movie for you, because there's a lot more of this than there was in the previous movie. And I thought the way they did it was good. Like, I mean, I can't speak for the critics, but me, like a guy that's been watching these movies for forever, like, I thought they did as good as they could have done, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I will argue, despite some really terrible dialogue and despite somewhat clunky action scenes where it's like, you see the monsters hit each other once, and then they cut back to the humans. Monsters hit each other once or twice, cut back to the humans. Really fucking good. Like, this was the best American adaptation of Godzilla, by far.
I definitely think so, especially when you consider, like, what you said before, like, just the kind of the silly dialogue with some of the characters, like one or two in particular. But now that I've had some time removed from it and remembering 2014, like, I'll take moronic dialogue from, side characters over just being totally bored by the human characters like I was in the first movie. Like, after Bryan Cranston died, there was nothing holding me, like, to be interested about those human characters in that movie with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch there trying to get back together. And I'm like,
yeah,
this whole, like, I don't care about any of them. They're not interesting characters, and it's just not doing it for me. But these characters in the new one were at least more entertaining. Like there were some likable ones and some not so much, but at least I found myself being like, all right, I'm getting from scene to scene and I'm following what they're doing and I'm for the most part interested in what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the first movie, I know a lot of people did not like the generic soldier kid, but I thought he was okay. I mean, that's just how Americans kind of adapt things. It's like, what's something everyone can relate to? Oh, soldiers. How much we kind of prop up soldiers and stuff like that. Like they're real life superheroes and stuff. Like I kind of get where they were trying to go with that, but I like that this movie just leaned more towards the silly aspect of it.
Yeah, they definitely weren't afraid to just get a little bit over the top with some of the hamminess. And I mean, even some of like the scientist scenes and stuff, like the scientists seemed like they were a little extra, nerdy, I guess, in some mannerisms of some of the things they said.
Yeah, Bradley Whitford, who's he's a somewhat famous actor. He's in Billy Madison, West Wing, Cabin in the Woods. He's the one that played that one scientist guy that were like literally every second he's like got a huge boner for Godzilla. And there was that one scene where the Mark character goes, "Oh my god," and he goes, "Zilla." Like, just like, oh, you really? That had to be in the movie? That was so stupid. Like, I saw that in the trailer, and I was like, okay, I could see why people hate the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah, like I go out of my way to like avoid hanging out with people like that in my everyday life. Like I don't want to, I don't want them in my movie too. Like, and
yeah,
at least I can take solace in the fact that everybody else in that movie, in the canon of that movie, they're all sick of this guy. But he serves his purpose, so they just got to put up with his shit for a while until he proves like useful.
Like my other big complaint about this movie was that it killed off the two scientist characters from the first movie that I really liked. Sally Hawkins, who was in Shape of Water, the movie that Guillermo del Toro directed last year that won the Oscar for like Best Picture.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, she was in the first movie, and Ken Watanabe's character,
Dr. Sarazawa.
Sarazawa. Yeah, I was like, crap. How do I pronounce his last name? Yeah,
yeah, he was.
I mean, his death was amazing, though.
Oh yeah, when they finally did what they did with him, I was just like, all right, that's, I'm sorry to see him go because I liked him too, and he was the only, after Bryan Cranston died, he was the only like human character that I really liked in the first movie.
Yeah.
So much so that first scientist you mentioned, I had totally forgotten she was even in the first movie when I saw King of the Monsters. So like her death effectively meant nothing to me because I was like, oh, I forgot she was even important. Like,
yeah.
So okay.
And it was so freaking quick too.
Yeah, they didn't give her much time, but they wanted to move the plot along just to have they Johnny Caged her real early, and they just just went on. Here's your new character.
Oh god,
now. Here's your new character.
Could you imagine if like Ghidorah like shrunk down to human size, had like this big dumb rubbery looking Ghidorah helmet, and just snapped her neck? You fools!
Would have been good.
Oh man. We got to talk about Mortal Kombat Annihilation someday.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm well overdue to rewatch that masterpiece. God.
But yeah, I mean, fucking A, the cast in this movie was insane. Like, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, Vera Farmiga from, like, the Conjuring movies, Charles Dance from Game of Thrones, like previous mentioned, Ken Watanabe, Sally Hawkins, O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's kid, was in this movie.
That's who that was?
Yeah.
Okay, wow, I didn't know that.
Zhang Ziyi, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, holy shit. They had
some money to spend, I guess.
Yeah, they had a banging cast in this.
Even, like, not considering the human characters, they actually, like, did a good job with the monsters, too, which is what I think everybody was kind of, like, hoping for. Like, the redesigns, I personally think they all looked good. I liked, all the scenes they were in. They didn't... they didn't like bait and switch us like they did in the first movie with like about to fight monsters and then they just cut to like a news broadcast or something. Like this time, right off the jump, they're fighting and we're watching them, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Like the Antarctica fight was great.
Yeah,
I like
holy shit.
The scene in the ocean where like they kind of meet and have that head-on collision in the water and everything. I'm like, this is sweet. Like, and then obviously the end with the big battle royale. Like, what's not to love? Yeah,
there's a scene we got to talk about that's just absolutely amazing. So Monarch has a bunch of bases set up around Earth. Like they have found locations of other titans slash kaijus, and they basically build these bases on top of like volcanoes or mountains and stuff like that, essentially kind of trapping them there. And there's one that's like on an oil rig. It's underwater, and they just have this amazing GI Joe-esque underwater base with these huge cannons, and Godzilla finds them, and he's off in the distance, but you just see him getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this amazing shot where the guys like raise up the shield so that they could see him because Godzilla knows they're there, and he kind of is like, "Are you threatening me with these big cannons? I mean, come on." And the guy's like, "No, stand down, raise the shields, let him know we're not a threat." And like his spines are glowing, like he's charging up for an atomic blast. But really, that was just like an intimidation thing. But that shot was just so amazing.
I like that, yeah, where he's like kind of creeping off in the distance, and you see his eyes illuminated in his back, and they're like, I don't know, the way they handled that, it was good. Like, it lets you know that Godzilla was not, really a threat to them unless they actually started attacking him. But he was also just letting them know, like, but you shouldn't probably do that though, because that wouldn't end well for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that shot was just so good. And the first time you really see Ghidorah, and you see the yellow lightning come out of like every orifice on his body.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people really didn't like the aspect of them hiding him inside of a hurricane. I thought that was brilliant.
It's something that I never actually really thought about until I was in the movie watching it, and then I'm just like, I guess that would make sense, because something that giant, it would definitely like impact the atmosphere around it. It would be just so, it's like, I don't know, it would just have so much like interaction with absolutely everything that we have no concept of how that would even work, because nothing we can understand would even like compare. So I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, make him that, and he's alien too. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, but they give you a couple lines about like, yeah, he's not actually from Earth. Like that's why he hates Godzilla so much, because they're basically like battling for supremacy.
Right, and it also makes sense because it's like, he is alien. There might be something in his DNA or something about him, the energy that he outputs, because Godzilla puts out radiation, which is part of the Earth. I mean, it's a natural element. If Ghidorah is emitting some other type of radiation, that is, of course, going to affect the atmosphere. But it came down to a lot of people, and specifically James, the angry video game nerd, was pointing out how there just wasn't a single Godzilla fight in the daylight when we got that with with Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, I did. Like, what was it? Like, shortly after the movie released, when he was talking about that, I was like, I guess that makes sense. Like, it's the end of the last movie was at night in the city, like with the rain and all this other stuff, and I'm like, it might be easier for the graphic artists to be able to like make CG, and you can get away with a few more things that you wouldn't be able to in the daylight, because I don't know, just like, your eye might catch something that looks a little off. I'm not entirely sure what all goes into that, but it's I guess the one benefit of that is like when, Mothra or Godzilla or somebody is like lit up, you're able to show that a lot more powerfully in the dark than you would in the bright daylight.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's where they were going with it and why they chose to do that, because if you got a monster like Ghidorah who's shooting yellow lightning everywhere, and then you have Mothra whose wings are literally illuminating at all times, you kind of want that in a darker atmosphere. You want that ambient lighting to come off of them.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of options, like as far as like showing, like it's more eye catching, I think, with the lighting against a darker scenario, I suppose. But
right.
Yeah, that said, I wouldn't mind seeing, some eventually, like if Godzilla and Kong had a fight during the day where you don't have to light either of them up in this next movie. It's like I'm interested to see where they go with that, honestly.
Absolutely.
My biggest issue with this movie, and it's not even with this movie, but it's just like at the end, Godzilla is like totally like overpowered, and I'm like, how is Kong gonna stand a chance now? Like, like what we've seen of Kong is that he's intelligent and he's a tool user, and so he's gonna be able to like grab things nearby and use his environment to his advantage. But like, I don't know. After the show of power that Godzilla had at the end of that one, I'm just like, I don't think Kong's even gonna like it's over for him. It hasn't even started yet.
To put this in perspective for maybe wrestling fans, Godzilla right now is literally Brock Lesnar. He is fucking untouchable. Other monsters bow to him. King Kong, he's probably going to be more like the Roman Reigns, where he's the big dog, you know? He can take on all comers, but he has major issues with Brock Lesnar. It's like he has not been able to figure out how to take out Brock Lesnar on his own. Even though he did beat him at SummerSlam last year, but there was a lot of shenanigans involved. But it's like with this one, how's Kong going to take on Godzilla?
It's like the same could be said. Well, Kong beat Godzilla in the last movie, but that was 40 years ago or 50 years ago, and like there's shenanigans at hand there too. So like,
yeah.
But
if anything, I think the way this is going to play out, especially with the little teaser at the end, we're going to probably see two fights. Godzilla's going to win one. Kong's going to win one. Mecha Ghidorah's going to show up, and then they have to team up.
that would be kind of sweet, actually.
Not only would that be sweet, I want to see them go balls to the walls. I want them to break out Mecha Godzilla.
I'm thinking like there's got to be some way, because I mean that besides Ghidorah, like Mecha Godzilla is like the most recognized Godzilla villain, I think, probably in the whole franchise.
There are some people that recognize Mecha Godzilla on the same level as Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla wasn't in Ready Player One, but Mecha Godzilla was.
So I'm like, well, okay, they'll find a way. I mean, they'll do something. Yeah. I don't know how or like who they're going to have responsible for that. If Monarch has been secretly working on this defense project all along, then hey, I mean, I'm interested to see it. I definitely gonna support this new franchise for as long as it goes.
Yeah, I think if anything, it'll go to King Kong versus Godzilla, and they might bow out, especially with how this one did in the U.S. But internationally, from what I heard, this movie did really good. That Chinese market, man, they are going for it.
It's just, I don't know. I think it's too bad that the critics got a hold of it before. I guess the actual viewers did. So, like, because again, like, people know what they want from a Godzilla movie, and if you're somebody who's gonna just go into it and be like, oh well, there wasn't really much going on with the plot and this, I'm like, well, there's two ways to think of it though. Like, if you think of this actually happening in real life, you're not going to get much chance for plot development. You're just going to see, oh, it's a giant monster in the middle of my city. There's nothing for me to do except run away. Like,
pretty much.
Yeah. Like, so I don't know. It was fun. I really liked it though. Spent too much money on action figures from the movie already, and
you dropped some serious fucking coin on that Ghidorah, didn't you?
Yeah, that was oh god
damn.
That short of Hot Toys, that's the most expensive figure that I've ever paid for, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's pretty amazing though. I kind of wish they would have had maybe an alternate set of wings, because I know you have some problems standing that bad boy up.
Yeah, I've seen actually a lot of fan mods who are sculptors and everything, they made a set of articulated wings that they could put on. I'm like, see, that's awesome. I know that would have bumped the price up of the actual figure, but
it would have been worth it. It would have been worth it.
I would have definitely got it. And I've been then I would have been able to put the wings in a different, more neutral pose, so he's not taking up 30 feet of shelf space. But that's it. That's what I get.
Wingspan wise, what is he, 18 inches across or something, or a foot?
Probably closer to 2 feet across with the
Jesus!
Wings. Yeah, spread out like that. It's insane. I mean, that video does it really no justice. Without seeing a thing in person. I mean, I did show the box where it was compared to the WWE Jack's WrestleMania 2 ring, and the box is basically the same size. So I'm like, well, that's going to take up about that much space just on a shelf, on its own, outside of the box. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
But we got to talk about my boy Rodan.
Oh, God. Yeah, he was awesome.
They put him over. I was so happy. That first shot of him, bursting out of the volcano, and the way he took out all the military jets, and the way he looked when he was flying, I was like, God damn. This is the coolest Rodan has ever been. The way the fire and everything is just billowing out of his wings. Holy shit.
I like that they made him they gave him like a lot of his old school like moves too, like the hurricane winds, like when he passes over, like all the roofs are like pulling off of all the buildings he's flying over and everything.
Yeah, that was great.
One thing that they kind of did, but they didn't really acknowledge it that much, is like before the movie came out, I had this kind of like little fan theory that like all the monsters were like elemental. So like you had your electric was Ghidorah, your fire was Rodan, Mothra would have been air, and Godzilla would have been water. And I'm just like, they didn't mention that at all in the movie, but my theory was not dispelled by anything in the movie either, so I'm still going with it. But like they all had a unique skill set that each monster was able to like display like a lot of really awesome like traits through that kind of thing. So like they were all very different. It wasn't just like, you know, oh, okay, a big monster with like an energy blast or something. Like they all had like just really unique things about them, and I don't know, I just loved it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, your theory on them being elemental was further hammered home by the fact that Godzilla's home is fucking Atlantis. That was the coolest shit.
That was definitely cool. And you know, the thing that I thought about after the fact, after the movie, I'm like, hang on, so they really did just find the lost city of Atlantis and then they nuked it. Like, they're like, well, you know, we got to do what we got to do. We got bigger problems, but nice to know that it was actually here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you could really do with Atlantis. I mean, it was just such a cool establishing shot, and then Sarasawa basically sacrificed himself so that Godzilla could be fully recharged in time to fight Ghidorah before Ghidorah could take over the fucking world.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was amazing. And that was an amazing explosion, too.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was, like, the best nuke scene I have seen since, like, Terminator 2.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I haven't... I'd have to watch it again, because I did only see the movie once, so I'm going to have to go back and pay, like, attention to, like, the smaller details, but... Yeah, I remember it being really cool.
Yeah. Excuse me while I burp into the microphone. Just press the button there. All right. All right. Now we got to talk about our girl Mothra.
Loved it. I like that they started strong with the larva form and then went right on into like the full like rebirth cycle of Mothra. Like they didn't waste any time.
This was like Mothra's greatest hits because they did everything with Mothra that ever happened in any of the Godzilla movies in Japan. It's like larva. I can't say it. What's the word? Larva?
Larva, yeah.
Larva, God. I kept trying to say lava. I'm like, son of a bitch. And now I completely forgot the word. So it's like her larva. I can't do it now. It's gone. It's gone. Okay, so baby Mothra was like just web shooting all the guys onto the wall, showing that she's powerful, but she's non-lethal. That shit was cool.
Yeah, not trying to like kill anybody, but you know, still just being like, nah, not dealing with you guys.
Yeah, so it's like you had that, you had her transformation into full-on Mothra, and I kind of like it that it just showed you that she goes through a cycle of death and rebirth, because it's like, well, wait a minute, if she's been around for as long as the Titans have been, why isn't she a moth right now? It's like, oh, because she dies and she's reborn.
Like constantly, yeah.
She is a literal god or goddess.
It's like, yeah, very like Phoenix-like. I was reading like I think on Twitter the director was explaining a lot of different things, like, and what was cool about Mothra's wing design is that like the big circle things were actually mimicking Godzilla's eyes.
Yeah,
and he was like, yeah, she's very literally like his flag bearer. Like every king needs a queen, and so they have that symbiotic relationship where they just like take care of each other. You know, like that's her whole cycle.
Yeah, I know. I freaking love that one shot where Godzilla's on the ground about to get teamed up on by Ghidorah and Rodan, and then you see Mothra literally climb over him, protecting him.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I didn't think I was going to like her more insect-like, because in Japan, she like the head and the body is very over-exaggerated, whereas in this one, it's a lot more downplayed to kind of make her wingspan seem more impressive. Yeah. But like the other things that they redesigned that I thought were great was like the way they shaped her legs, because her legs are now actual weapons.
It's like more like praying mantis like things on them, more like than just like Because the original Mothra, yeah, it's just like she was like a couple of big like cotton balls that made up her body, and like that is,
Yeah.
little tiny little legs that she basically just stands on, and that's all they're useful for.
Her pipe cleaner legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that one shot she got in on Rodan was pretty good, too. And it was also kind of like she wanted to hurt him. She could have killed Rodan if she wanted to.
Yeah,
But it's just like, bitch, I'm putting you back in your place. Because, like, earlier in the movie, Rodan, when he gets released, he goes straight for Ghidorah in, like, a power play. But he obviously gets bitch smacked around, and then he becomes subservient to Ghidorah. But, Mothra put him back in his place, and we don't see him again until the end.
yeah.
Which, we got to talk about those other monsters.
Oh yeah, okay. So the random ones that just kind of showed up at different points in the movie.
Yeah, like,
They're all just...
I really dug that woolly mammoth looking one.
Yeah, there was a couple that I was just like, all right, I don't think these are meant to be like this universe's version of other like pre-existing monsters. I think they just made up some new ones, like what they did with the Mudos, and I was like, all right, I'm wondering if they're gonna see like if they're ever gonna show these guys again, like in any of the other movies.
Yeah, the weird little spider one that they had, that to me seemed more like a callback to Kong Skull Island, because there was that big spider stick bug type thing.
Yeah,
So that seemed a little bit of a callback to that, maybe just kind of connect these two movies together. But then they showed like a random Muto in there, and I was like, what?
are there still more? Yeah, like
There's more? Godzilla killed them.
unless there's like a hive of them, and the queen was just like that one that he fought in the first movie was just like a drone. It wasn't like the only like suitor, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like there could have been more, and maybe they just stayed dormant until Ghidorah woke everybody up. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like in the next movie, like if there's gonna be some throwaway fight scene to put over like the strong monsters, like Kong's gonna have to beat up that mastodon guy or something. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man, I know. I'm trying to think of some other good monsters they could throw in there that would be established that we would know, like Baragon or Gigan or something like that. That Kong could fight just to put him over. So
Yeah.
that way it looks like, oh, okay, he's going after Godzilla. He stands a chance. Nope, he gets jobbed out, but then he comes back.
Throw Anguirus in there or something, like
Yeah.
be like, yeah, sure. We haven't seen this guy in a while.
So overall, you would say you were very satisfied with King of the Monsters.
I would say so. Yeah, it's definitely one that I went in expecting just to kind of enjoy it, and hopefully have it be something that I like would be able to think about again in the future and not poke holes in it and be like, hang on now. But yeah, I would say definitely I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm looking forward to checking it out again at some point.
Yeah, even with the human characters, I really dug the subplot where you had like these eco-terrorists that are like, nah, we're going to try to fuck the planet up for humans and give it back to the Titans.
Yeah, definitely. Like they, even if it was a kind of ridiculous like movie villain thing to do, like they at least had some motivation. You knew why they wanted to do the thing, and so them making their moves based on those like motives. I'm like, oh, well, it makes sense. I know what they're gonna do now.
Yes, exactly. Out of 10, what would you give it?
Oh, let's see. As a Godzilla fan, strong 9. As as just a movie on its own merits, probably like 7.
I'd say that's fair. I'd give it a solid 8. Like the biggest thing that obviously knocked it down for me was just the constant cutting back and forth between human and monster fights, when I wish they really would have hung on the monster fights more, and just the bad dialogue and killing off the characters that I liked too quickly. But everything else in the movie more than made up for it.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely, I can run with that.
So our next movie recommendation is, I like to consider this sort of the epilogue to Avengers Endgame, and that is Spider-Man Far From Home. Captain McKay, Mike, what did you think of this movie?
I rather enjoyed it.
Yes.
To me, it was... I mean, I didn't expect another Avengers Endgame. I don't think anybody did going into this. I think this is a good way for Marvel Studios to be like, right, you've had your, galaxy-spanning, huge, everything on the line movie, and we did it. It's done. And now here's your smaller, like, okay, a little bit of trouble in this town movie. We don't have to worry about like world breaking consequences. We just have to worry about this one major villain and these this school kids and their plot and all this other stuff. So I think they did a good job scaling it back, showing all the different I guess things that come with being Spider-Man when you're trying to not let everybody know that you're Spider-Man. I like Tom Holland, so this movie was it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I did a big, long review of this on Instagram, so if you guys want to check that out, because I don't really want to go over this point for point, but gotta talk about Mysterio. Holy shit. Is this new universe understanding these Spider-Man villains and how to translate their their over-the-top gaudy costumes and powers into the MCU? Vulture. I thought Vulture was so fucking lame in the comics and stuff like that. It's just some old guy in a green suit with wings. And Homecoming, you got Michael Keaton as a guy running like I'm trying to think, like a crew of like almost mercenaries, but really it's just like an old construction crew that's so fed up with Tony Stark and his shit that they're now just going to rob them. And he has a wing suit with like vulture claws that help him grab stuff out of like transport trucks or help him carry stuff. And the way they designed the wings in that, amazing. He looks like he's dressed kind of like an aviator, like just a perfect retranslation of what Vulture should be. Like same thing with Mysterio. That suit is so awful, but it's supposed to be because he's like, no, this is from another dimension. This is what we wear.
Yeah, I think they did a good job translating both of those characters. Like you mentioned, Vulture from the previous movie, and I think the casting helped both choices also because Michael Keaton he looks unhinged, and that works. That works to his favor a lot of time. I don't know if I put this online or whatever, but I can remember thinking back when Homecoming came out. There's that scene where he's like in his little garage or whatever it is, and he's like kind of leaned up against the counter, and I think he's talking to Peter at that point. And from the lighting being like top lit over his head, he looks like Nicholson did in Batman with like those eyebrows, kind of like he's looking like through his evil eyes at him. I'm like, wow, okay.
Holy shit, yeah, he totally does.
And I'm thinking like, you either die a Batman or live long enough to see yourself become the Joker, I guess. But then,
oh my god,
then Gyllenhaal comes around, and he plays like a totally different character. But like the way he explains everything, he's like, no, I'm from a different reality, and this happens. Which now, after Endgame, different realities is something we know is actually a thing in Marvel now. And so, okay, well, there might be something to this guy. But it turns out he's just, once again, got a grudge against Tony Stark for one reason or the next. And they show you why, which I thought was really cool, actually. When they went back through the old movies and they showed these little minor characters, how integral they were to, like, certain little things that would play out to be, like, huge deals in the MCU.
Right. There was, like, a scientist that Obadiah Stane, played by Jeff Bridges, in the first Iron Man movie was just yelling at. It's like, Tony Stark built this in a cave with scraps. Like, that guy, he's now a part of Mysterio's team. And, like, they showed Mysterio in the background of, like, Tony Stark giving that presentation in Civil War using the holograms. And it's like, holy shit, they took some minor throwaway thing from this movie, and this is now the basis of this super villain's powers. And, again, like you said, Jake Gyllenhaal was just so perfect when he's trying to be like the superhero to Peter Parker and trying to fulfill that Tony Stark mentor role. Like, he's so perfect as that. And then, like, just being all buddy-buddy with him. And then the second he got what he wanted, he did that fucking heel turn. Just like, I know it's coming. Yeah. Because I know this is a villain. Whereas, like, I'm there with my girlfriend, and she's kind of like, is he supposed to be the villain? I'm like, he's a villain. Trust me. And then when he does the heel turn, she's just like, you fucking asshole.
I was wondering, because it was taking him a little while to actually become, to full-on do his heel turn. And, like, they almost had me thinking, like, are they going to go the direction of the Skrulls and have him actually be babyface the whole time and just not give you that payoff? And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess that could be interesting. But then they did it, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Now I'm back, like, totally on board. Like, I wanted to hate him, and then I was like, well, maybe he's not so bad. I'm like, fuck you, Jake. You got me. You got me in the crowd.
Yeah, that was just brilliantly done.
It was
And
definitely cool, yeah.
his illusions, those were great. When he was able to like trap Spider-Man in his illusions. Oh my god. The zombie Tony, the zombie Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I liked the how you initially he had that first like illusion that he was trapped in, and then you think it's over, but he's telling Nick Fury something vital, and then he's like, "Oh no, this is you're still in the illusion. You just told me now." It's like,
Yep.
come on.
Yeah, you fucking asshole. And that amazing shot too around the London Bridge where Peter goes inside the illusion and you see him breaking up the drone. So it's like you got like half illusion and then you got half real world. Like that shit was so good.
Yeah, they did a good job explaining like how Mysterio can control it too. I'm thinking like, all right, well, I think since now like everybody's kind of got a better time frame for like when these movies take place. Like there's people that have gone back and just like, wait a minute, so Stark had all this in Endgame? Like, would this have not helped against Thanos and all this other stuff? But you know, throwing all that out the window. Just the fact that Mysterio was able to like use all this technology and be like have Peter and everybody figure out like, okay, how is he doing this and why don't anybody seem to believe that this is happening? And then like the way they did Fury, like I don't know if you want to spoil or anything, but I was like, Fury major spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop listening, maybe skip ahead 5 minutes. So at the end, after the credits, where they show that Nick Fury and Maria Hill are the Skrulls from Captain Marvel, who have been held on Earth the entire time. They're just now like integrated into S.H.I.E.L.D. and they're like basically standing in for the higher ups.
Yeah.
And so that was making me think like, so is this the type of thing like Nick Fury seems like he'd be on top of this, and I'm like, oh, that's why. And that's why he got so mad at Peter Parker for daring like to reach out to Captain Marvel. He's like basically don't take her name in vain type. It's like, oh, that's why. I get it now.
Right. I mentioned that in my review when I was watching this movie. I was like, he's not acting like Nick Fury. Is this just because he got dusted and something's kind of wrong with him? Maybe we're gonna get some sort of callback to Ultimate Spider-Man, because there was a section in Ultimate Spider-Man where Fury finds out who Peter Parker is and all that stuff, and he basically is like really an overbearing character to him, where he's just like, look, when you're 18, you're mine, so stop being Spider-Man and just enjoy your life, kid. And like they have to have like a come to Jesus moment, but they have like a really weird rocky relationship. So I figured maybe that's what they were trying to do with this, because I'm like, Fury doesn't act like this. What's going on? But yeah, when they did that reveal of the Skrull, and like you said, that callback to the Captain Marvel thing, I was like, perfect. That was amazing. Everything was explained. I'm like, holy shit. You set something up that was very subtle, and you paid it off.
It kind of made me like wonder, like, all right, well, so is that really Nick Fury at the end of Endgame then at Tony Stark's funeral, or is that like Talos? Right. Is that Talos up there?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's what's so perfect about the Marvel Universe. Even if not all of the movies have been perfect, like Thor: Dark World or Iron Man 2 and 3, everything has a setup and a payoff. You're gonna eventually get the full circle. Whereas, like, you know, I'm not trying to dump on DC. It just feels like with them, they do things just to do them because people know it.
Yeah,
DC, going from Man of Steel to the Dark Knight Return storyline to the death and return of Superman. It was like, are you, what this is no.
With like no provocation of any of it either. Like,
yeah,
in Man of Steel, there was no mention of Batman, obviously, because they didn't know at the time that they were going to start this whole universe. There was no like, I don't know. Like, I think enough has been said about DC that I can't further add to like the calamity that is their universe.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like, and now it's like their movies are actually kind of starting to get good, and their shows, I guess, have been doing really good. Like, everyone was raving about Swamp Thing, and then I guess that got canceled just like out of nowhere. But they have this other show called Doom Patrol. I heard is really amazing. Aquaman did did like gangbangers of money, you know.
I heard that. I heard that was actually good. I've heard about Doom Patrol also supposedly being good. I mean, I liked Wonder Woman, so
Yeah, same.
that was as far as those movies at the time, I think that was the best one. But Shazam, I guess, has come and gone, and people really people love that too.
Shazam was amazing.
Oh, okay, nice. All right.
I don't know if we talked about that before, but I was going to say Shazam is the best DC movie, period. Where and I'm not trying to compare that to like the 1989 Batman or the Dark Knight I mean that in solely of the sense of like, okay, this is meant to be a comic book world with other superheroes. It has a build up and a payoff to things that could happen in other movies. So in the scheme of them trying to set up a universe, this is the best DC movie. It is better than Wonder Woman. It is better than Aquaman. It is as good as the best Marvel movies.
Wow. All right. I guess I got to check it out then.
And it feels completely different. It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It just does what Marvel does, but for DC. And I don't know any other way to say that.
I mean, you kind of got me sold now. I got to check it out. I mean, like I said, I've heard pretty much exclusively good things about it. So I just have to find the time. Finally, I don't know. I think it's coming out, so I'll wait for it to get on some streaming service at some point. But definitely, we'll check it out.
So yeah, most definitely. So those are our movie recommendations: Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Spider-Man: Far From Home. There's two movies I need to check out. One of them is the rebooted Hellboy that just came out on DVD. I know it didn't do good. I know it got bad reviews. And I know the fans didn't really like it, but I still want to check it out. I love the design of Hellboy in that movie.
It looks good. I mean, like visually, it looks good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've heard pretty much all negative things about the movie itself, which I'm like, I don't know if that's just like Godzilla all over again with the critics giving it a hard time, because I don't think that critics necessarily want to go see a Hellboy movie. They're not looking for that. So, but
I think from what everyone said, because there's a lot of online reviewers that I watch that I trust their opinions on, and they all had the same complaints, was that the script was really jank. There's a lot of bad CGI, but then there's a lot of really great CGI. And David Harbour is amazing as Hellboy. So, and like Mila Jovovich is like the main villain, and she comes off like a total cartoon character. Like they basically said this is like a comic book movie before comic book movies made it big. Like it felt like something like The Phantom or Elektra or I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, or like Catwoman, where it's like this is not how you do a comic book movie in 2019, you morons. Yeah.
You adapt the material. You don't literally transliterate it to film. That's the thing. Like Hellboy, like a lot of people I remember saying like, oh, it's it's R-rated and it's going to be violent and this and that, just like the comics. And that's what threw me off, because I'm like, all right, I got a couple of Hellboy books out there, and I struggle to think of like scenes where it's like over the top graphic violence. Like there's weird creepy stuff going on, but that was going on in the Ron Perlman ones too, and like Del Toro did a good job with the source material in those, I thought. So, and like I don't know that it needs to be this like super violent R-rated thing, but I don't know, I guess they were taking a risk and they were going to see if it hit or miss.
Yeah, I can agree. It's nice that they took a shot at it, but And I kind of see what they wanted to do. I mean, you were never going to recreate the magic of the Del Toro movies with Ron Perlman. I mean, those were like lightning in a bottle captured twice.
Yeah.
You had to go in a completely different direction with this one. And I like that they tried to go rated R, but it's probably just not going to stick the landing. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but
it's another one. When it comes out on streaming, I'll have to check it out.
Mm-hmm. I kind of got into it with a few people on Twitter about this, but so they announced that there's going to be a new Blade movie, new actor, new everything. While I'm all for that, I know it's not going to be rated R, and I think the movie is going to suffer for that, because Blade, unlike Hellboy, is over the top, violent, and gory. That's what made them so charming to me. And they took all the vampire stuff serious. And I mean, Wesley Snipes, I mean, how many F-bombs did he drop in the Blade movies? Like, he would just randomly break character to go like, motherfucker, you out of your damn mind? Or, you know, something like that. You're not going to get these from the Marvel movies. And yes, I mean, I get it. Marvel's firing on all cylinders. They're making good shit. But I don't see how you can dial back a character like Blade and put him in a PG-13 setting. The same way, I don't think you can dial back a character like the Punisher and put him in a PG-13 setting. There's certain characters you just have to go all the way with.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure how they're going to approach something like Blade for a movie. Like, it would almost make sense to have it be a total offshoot. Like, even if you set it in the same universe, don't have it have that much to do with anything that's going on in the proper, like, MCU. Like, almost like Deadpool, you know, where you can set it aside and watch it on its own, and you don't have to think about anything else that's going on. So, like, I mean, Deadpool worked as an R-rated movie, and I think that's, like, it proved that you could make an R-rated movie about a superhero or a comic book and have it be, like, you know, pretty well regarded by just about everybody, I think. I think Blade could do that just the way that it did the first time around. I'm not familiar with the actor, the new guy, but like I've heard that Wesley Snipes actually, you know, has basically he's just like, oh, I like this guy. I'm looking forward to seeing it, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, that's, you know, at least a step in a good direction there. But yeah, I don't know. Like, how are they gonna, like, what will they do with this character exactly? It's like taking Jason Voorhees and putting him in your universe and then whacking a PG-13 on him. Like, how's that going to work?
So, top 10. It's time for another crappy top 10 list. So, with Captain McKay being here, and him and myself being action figure aficionados, collectors of the 6-inch figurines and various plastic types, I figured we would do another top 10 most wanted action figures, because the first time I did it, I literally could have made 3 or 4 lists just off the top of my head. And this almost was going to be top 10 favorite WWE matches, no NXT or Royal Rumbles included, because that would have taken up an entire top 10. But I was like, okay, that probably would have been way too much research to do for how short amount of time we had.
It's one that I would have to, like, kind of wing the last 5. I mean, like, I could probably pick 5 off the top of my head and then just kind of have to, like, well, just hope for the best, see what I can remember from all those years ago,
right,
when I was, like, an active, avid wrestling fan that watched everything. So,
right,
yeah, this works out, I think, better for me.
There we go. All right, so starting off at number 10, Cap, I'm going to let you go first.
All right. Well, it's kind of a retread of one that you had mentioned in your previous list, and I think this is the only crossover that we've got from your last list, but it's got to be Storm Collectibles, Mike Hagar from Final Fight. And this would be my number 1, but I didn't want to, like, build all the way up to one that you had already put as number 1 on your last list. So I'm putting it 10 just so I can get it out of the way and say that is, like, my dream figure. Pretty much everything you already described in the last video. Give him, you know, a few different head sculpts. Give him his metal pipe for him to go around and hit people with. Give him, like, you could do, like, different variants of what he would wear. You know, I'm thinking of all the color swap palettes from MVC3 where he's got, like, the camo gear and the white hair, or maybe the black gear, or, like, just, you know, you just have fun with it. Whatever they make, I would buy. So yeah, Storm Collectibles, Mike Hagar, give me one.
Right, I know. I mean, he can come with a pipe, a knife, like a roasted turkey leg. You can make a variant for the con exclusives where he comes in his Saturday Night Slam Masters gear, and he comes with a Capcom Wrestling Federation Championship belt and a steel chair. So
awesome.
Fucking many good options.
They could just repack in the same Zangief accessories, like with the curved, like, you know, motion things he can clip to his fist, so he can do his, like, spinning lariat. Like,
right.
Yeah, just, they have the tools, they have everything they need. Just, when Storm Collectibles wants to just make me a happy man, they'll release that.
Exactly. Number 10 for me, same company, Storm Collectibles, but I want to see them take a crack at Superman.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, seeing their Doomsday, I'm like, I need a Superman to fight him. And obviously, if they're making an Injustice line, I want to see them take Injustice 1 Superman, the good guy version of Superman, and See what they can do with him, because the evil version of Superman in that game, I really didn't like his costume, but the good guy one is kind of a mix of like the Henry Cavill Superman suit and something weirdly cool that they did with the chess emblem, where like the cape kind of fed out of it.
I think I remember the one you're talking about. Yeah, because Injustice, the evil version, Figure Arts did that one, didn't
Yeah.
they? Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking of the opposite costume. Then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you just give him the laser eyes. You can give him the cold breath. It would sound kind of weird, but I've never seen any Superman figure try to do an effect that shows off his X-ray vision. I don't know how Storm could do that. Maybe just put like some like clear laser blastings coming out of his eyes. I don't know. I figured they could probably tool around with that and make it work. But thinking of a Superman figure with the Storm Collectibles body, the amount of articulation and muscle mass he would have, I figured they could pull it off.
Yeah, that would be a really cool thing to see. It still surprises me that Injustice, we don't even have release dates on the 4 figures they made, and the 4 figures that they're making are villains so far. We don't even have the main heroes yet.
I know. Well, Lobo's an anti-hero.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
true.
He is a bad boy, but he's technically not a villain.
The main man.
Yeah, I mean, fucking A, that Bane looks killer.
Oh, Bane, yeah, he looks awesome. Bane and Doomsday both, I think, take it from
Yeah.
me. They're just, they're so good. But yeah, you definitely need a Superman in there.
Right. So, who you got for number 9?
Well, from this point on, I don't know that these will be in any particular order.
That's fine.
I just was free storming them all. But the next one I have written down here is, we'll stay with Storm Collectibles. Street Fighter V, Laura.
Yeah.
I always liked her. I liked her design. I liked her moves and stuff in the game. She was a more unique character than some of the other ones that I've seen. And I was like, you know what? They haven't made a figure of her yet. I don't think anybody has. So I'm like, why not? Have her come with some of her more unique moves, I don't know, energy parts that you clip onto her.
Yeah.
Give her a few different face sculpts, kind of the standard that we've come to expect from Storm. Just a few different hands for grappling or punching or just open open hands. I think that would be cool. I just always liked the design of the character, so
Yeah.
Laura, Street Fighter V.
Yeah, I love her hairstyle in that game where it's got the half braid and then the rest of it's got that swooshing side thing that she's got.
Yeah,
that would
definitely
be a killer figure. And I mean, it's Storm Collectibles. If anybody could get those tig old bitties to pop out of her shirt right, it's going to be them.
Look no further than New York Comic Con Chun-Li for
Right.
for
That's
evidence.
kind of what I was referencing. I figured, they could do her and Jury. I think they could do Jury justice as well.
Oh, I'm sure of it. And the best part with Storm is if they make one, they're making 2 variants to it also. So you can just wait for the color version that you like best. Go for it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. My number 9 is Little Mac from Punch-Out, and I got SH Figure Arts making that one.
Oh, nice.
I would want it to be Storm, but I figured, okay, because SH Figure Arts does theirs at a much smaller scale than Storm Collectibles, and it's Little Mac. He's supposed to be smaller than everybody else, so I figured, okay, well, he would still fit in with everyone else because he's a tiny dude. And I really like SH Figure Arts. They do a great job with articulation while maintaining the sculpt of their figures. And the accessories and the amount of alternative faces they would include. With Little Mac, you have his just standard smiling. You could see his mouth guard. And then another one, you could have it where his face is kind of beat up a little bit. He's got a Band-Aid. He's a little bruised up. And then you could have the face that he has where he's about to get knocked out. He is just fucked up looking. He's got bruises. He's got multiple bandages. His hair is all over the place. Oh my god, that'd be great.
I really would, especially considering that Storm has made their Mike Tyson figure, so you could have a much smaller Little Mac to go against the much larger Tyson.
Right.
Get that Mike Tyson's punch out. Oh, that'd be awesome. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, if they wanted to continue with that line, I would love a King Hippo
Yeah, that'd be great.
with removable shorts. All right, so number 8, who you got?
All right. Since you mentioned SH Figure Arts, I'm going to go with Deborah from Dragon Ball Z. I want him he would have to have a pack in of Babidi so that you could put him with Majin Buu, because that's just the one thing that we don't have is Majin Buu's little like caretaker guy. And Dabura would be a good excuse to pack him in, like how Chaozu came with Tien. And I think they could do that. It wouldn't have to move or anything. It could just be like a little add-in. But Dabura would be awesome. I think he could come with like the standard, a few different hands, the removable cape. He could have like the different expressions that you could put on. He's just visually, he's always been like a really cool looking character. He's basically like a devil in like a jumpsuit. I don't know. I thought he's kind of a little lesser known as far as like
an underrated villain.
Yeah, there you go. Like as far as the main players go, he's not like the most dangerous villain or anything, but he has shown himself to be pretty important to the plot there at that point. So I'm like, you know what? He needs a space. He needs to be, I guess, iconoclast in the figure form.
Yeah, I think one day he will.
I hope so.
So number 8 for me, and I have to jumble my list up a little bit, but it's going to be the bride from Kill Bill, and I think NECA could pull that off.
Oh, awesome.
Go with her yellow motorcycle gear, the one everyone knows. She's got her Hanzo sword, couple of like bloody variants, because she kind of gets fucked up in that fight in Kill Bill Volume 1.
Yes.
But like she's got that. She's got that wooden leg from the table that she used to kill Go-Go with. I don't know if you remember that scene in the movie where she's fighting the Japanese schoolgirl that's got like the spinning ball thing.
Ball and chain thing. Okay, yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen those, but yeah, it's coming back a little bit.
Yeah, she offs her with like a wooden leg, like she gets smashed through a table and she's getting choked to death. So she grabs a wooden leg with like some nails sticking out and she like rams it into her foot and then she rams it into the base of her skull. So it's like you got that. You could include a motorcycle helmet, and I mean, shit, you could make a deluxe version with her motorcycle.
That would be cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other accessories that they can come with. Like there's another version of it where she's in more like a Western gear. She's got like a brown leather jacket and like jeans. Like you could have that version. She comes with her sword. She can come with a hunting knife and a bunch of other stuff. So I think the bride from Kill Bill. I mean, an entire Kill Bill line from NECA would be pretty dope.
That's a good transition into my next one, actually.
There actually was a bunch of Kill Bill figures back in like 2004, 2005, but more of a I want ultimate versions of Kill Bill or the bride.
Who did those earlier ones? Was that NECA or was that McFarlane or?
It was one of three. It was either NECA, McFarlane, or Mezco. I'm not certain off the top of my head.
Gotcha, because I know I've seen them, but I can't think of offhand. And they were very limited. Like they're almost like statues with like one or two moving parts, right? Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move on to number 6. Cap, who do you got?
Number 6.
6. What happened to 7?
Just kidding.
Number 7. Who do you got?
Number 7. Much in the same what you just said about Kill Bill, you'd need your own line. My next pick, also by NECA, is Spike, which would mean that I'd need a Buffy and or an Angel line to make this happen. But yeah, I think NECA would be the company for that.
Yeah, there was a line back in the day. I forget who was making them, but I have a couple of the Ultimate figures. I have Buffy and I have was it Faith?
I think it was Soda that made the old ones, maybe.
Yes,
and there was also like a Diamond Select line as well, maybe. But I'm thinking like, if NECA jumped on that property right now, they would kill it. Like I'm just thinking of Spike, just because he's the one that I would want most. But like you could pack him in with his regular head and his vampire head. You'd give him like a few sweet accessories, like run him at $20 or $22 or whatever. And like depending on which figures you got, they could all like complement each other in some way. I think that would be great. So yeah, I mean you'd almost need to, I don't know, kind of like armchair book an entire series of figures. But I know for sure if I saw Spike in any form, I would definitely buy it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, an entire Ultimate line of Buffy figures. God.
It makes sense to me that NECA would be the ones too, because they do a lot more of the TV movie type properties, and I think they could nail like the interchangeable heads and different parts that the vampires would have, and like all the accessories that Buffy would have. Like there'd be very little like wink and nod type scene specific items that would come with different characters, and you'd be like, oh, that's from the episode with whatever. You would just know it as a fan.
Oh, totally. God. Oh man, I'm gonna have to include that on another list. I could have an entire top 10 list of just characters from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh God, yeah.
Jesus.
Like yesterday, like this is I think when I had sent you that message and was like, this is giving me a whole, like, this is opening my mind up to like all these things I didn't know I wanted, and now I'm mad that they don't exist. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, like a Buffy line, give me all of them.
I mean, shit, I'd be happy too if they even made some characters from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie with Christy Swanson and Luke Perry.
It's just, yeah, any Luke Perry action figure. Rest in peace, Boo Boo. I'll take it.
Yeah. I'd put that next to my Jungle Boy figure whenever that comes out.
We got to get AEW a figure deal.
Oh, it's coming. It's got to be coming.
I'm sure. Yeah. They won't let the grass grow under their feet for that.
All right. So, number 7 for me, and thankfully, thanks to Comic-Con, this was revealed. NECA Casey Jones. It's happening. Now, this is going to be... NECA is currently, they're making the cartoon version of, like, of Casey Jones, April, Leatherhead, more foot soldiers and stuff like that. But I want the movie version of Casey Jones. I mean, they've already got all 4 of the Turtles. We've got the Shredder, we've got the foot soldiers, we've got Splinter. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones. That voice, that look, that hobo hanging out on rooftops with just like a golf bag full of different weapons. I want that version of him. I want a masked and an unmasked version. Oh God, so freaking good. That was one thing that really pissed me off about that third Ninja Turtles movie. How do you have fucking Casey Jones in there and you don't use him for anything, and he never wears his freaking hockey mask?
That was one of many things wrong with that third movie. But yeah, NECA has been like far above and beyond my expectations for this Ninja Turtles license that they got. Like,
Most
I
definitely.
expected, like, once they got the packs into Target, I was like, that's crazy. Like, what a loophole they've found. I'm glad I can now get these figures. But now there's like 3 more waves announced. I'm just like, geez, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to like keep up with all this stuff just because it's going to be costly. But like,
Yeah.
seeing their animated Casey Jones, I'm like, shit, that's real sweet. I got to pick that one up. But yeah,
Oh,
a movie
God, yes.
version. A movie version from the original movie, that would definitely set it off. It'd be a great figure.
Yeah, that mask is just iconic. I mean, there's no better version of Casey Jones, in my opinion.
I might be with you on
All
that
right.
one, especially if they pack in like I'm just thinking like a re-release of that Raphael with the coat and the hat.
Yeah,
They need, yeah. Oh man,
Oh,
you got
God.
me excited now.
yeah. He'd come with, I love that. A Jose Canseco bat? Tell me you didn't pay money for this.
Yeah.
That would be great. He could come with a bat that's like signed by Jose Canseco.
And NECA would be the
Jesus.
company to remember the detail.
All right, so number 6, who you got?
Let's see. Moving on here. Well, I'll stick with NECA. I have one more NECA figure on here, and I want them to do a 7-inch Batman from Batman Returns, the Michael Keaton, the second Michael Keaton movie, where the costume is different than the first movie. It's like it's more of a gunmetal gray than a straight black. It's got like more armored look to it than the muscle suit. Mm-hmm. Hot Toys did one. That's I think the only version that exists that's in the correct like costume from the Returns movie, and I think NECA would do a great job of it. And well within my budget, too, unlike the Hot Toys. So, yeah, that's like the movie that kind of got me into Batman. So, to be able to finally get a good, accurate figure, that's definitely what I want. And he could come with that programmable Batarang that he has in the movie. He could come with, like, the little, like, red and white swirly, like, antenna thing that he pulls out of the bottom of the Batmobile.
Oh, God,
like,
yes.
Just, like, any number of, like, little cool accessories that he could have, like... And even give him maybe the alternate head if you're doing an Ultimate Edition with the mask ripped off and it's the Bruce Wayne head underneath.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's my my biggest Batman related want at this point. I think is a Batman Returns figure.
Jeez, oh God, that would be so good. I mean, I was so excited when I heard that Mezco was making their own version of like the '89 Batman costume, but I looked at theirs compared to the NECA one. The NECA one just blows it away.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any like real good pictures of the Mezco version. Like I've seen a couple like blurry ones or where the lighting is a little too bright for me to be able to tell what the details are. But like so
Yeah.
far, I'm not 100% married to buying that figure yet, and that's too bad because that '89 Batman is great. So like the
Yeah.
design of the costume is like one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love that '89 costume, I do have to agree. There's something about that Batman Returns one. It just steps it up in terms of like a cool factor.
Yeah, there's like just very unique little details to it that they like when they continued with the live action movies, they went kind of backwards towards the first movie design with the muscles and the more organic body type to the costume rather than like straight armor with like the plating and stuff that it had. So I've never seen a costume since like that, and they've never actually made, even in the toy line for the actual movie when it was out, I don't think they had a real accurate costume for that. So I've never had one to my name, and I'd like to change that. So NECA, make it so.
Yeah, I mean, shit, they could totally make NECA could make Catwoman and Penguin, but if they did want to do a Batman Returns line, I would love to see them make Max Shrek.
Oh God, 7-inch articulated Christopher Walken.
Yeah, Christopher Walken needs a goddamn action figure.
He does.
Oh, Jesus. All right, so I believe that's number 6 for me, and and this is my last NECA figure, I promise everyone listening, because I'm not kidding, the rest of this list is going to be dominated by Storm Collectibles. I'm sorry, get over it. So number 6 for me, and I want this as a 2-pack, I want Deckard and Rachel from Blade Runner.
Nice.
Because they made a Blade Runner 2019 line, and we had an older Deckard, and I thought it looked a decent enough amount like Harrison Ford to where it's like, okay, I would trust NECA to possibly make Indiana Jones. I'm going to trust them to make Deckard. And I'm just picturing that coat with the gun. He could come with like some Asian food, and he can come with like a little TV monitor that he stares at and goes, enhance, move to the right, stop, enhance, go back and pan, enhance. And I don't remember really what memorable accessories Rachel had other than I think she was like smoking a lot in the movie, but they had an artificial owl in her office, so I'm like, okay, she can come with the owl. I totally would love that. And sadly, Rutger Hauer just passed away, so we could totally get like a Roy Batty from NECA. That'd be amazing. So yeah, just NECA, make a Blade Runner line of figures. That's all I'd want.
Harrison Ford has one of those faces that I haven't. It's like it's tough to capture. I think like for
really
action
is.
figures and things like that. Like I've had like Hot Toys did a good job, obviously, but like the recent Black Series figures have been pretty good. But up until that, like I don't know, I haven't been blown away by any like character likeness of Harrison Ford. So NECA doing one, I would have the bar set pretty high, and I think that would be the one to pull it off probably best.
It's a little bit of a hero worship that I'm going to go into here, but Harrison Ford has so much life to his face and to his portrayal of everything that he does. It's very hard to capture that in a very statuesque type form.
That makes
Whereas
sense.
like Michael Keaton, NECA perfectly captured that Batman look. Whereas with Ford down in that smaller scale, I figured that would probably be just a little bit harder to do.
Yeah, there's something to that. He's constantly like changing his expressions, and he very rarely does he look the same way in two different scenes. So like you kind of have to pick and choose what exactly specifically you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you take a photo of Indiana Jones and you put him next to a photo of Deckard, it's almost like you're looking at two different people. I mean, obviously both of these are Harrison Ford, but one isn't the other.
Yeah, definitely. He's good for that, definitely.
All right. Oh, definitely. So number 5, who you got?
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna hop over to Mattel. I think we're gonna talk about a 1996 Survivor Series Bret Hitman Hart. with the
Yes.
the gear he wore when he first came back and fought Stone Cold at the Survivor Series that year. I don't think any figure company has done it yet. It's got like kind of the orange trim around the black singlet, or no, the pink singlet with like a black kind of design around it as well. And it was just a really unique gear for him. I don't think he's worn that any other time, and it's just, you know, it's kind of a commemorative moment for him coming back after months of being, you know, out of the company or whatever, like, or on the shelf. And it's an awesome match to boot. Top, you know, probably top 5 for me. So yeah,
See,
I don't know if I would want that done.
I'm not gonna give you.
What's up?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if I'd want it to be an Elite or an Ultimate, but the only reason I say that is because I don't have any of the Ultimate figures to really tell if I like prefer it over the Elites yet. So at this point, either or will do. But yeah, that gear for Bret Hart in a highly articulated form, that's it for me. I want one.
Yeah, I can't give you too much shit with struggling on saying the word commemorative because I struggled to say larva like an hour ago. God, that was embarrassing. But yeah, no, I think Elite's the way to go with that one. So number 5 for me, Storm Collectibles, Spawn.
Ooh.
I really would love it if McFarlane, because I don't know if he's still making toys. I mean, he's making those Fortnite figures, which I have to say, I went to Walmart earlier today before I started the podcast, and those Fortnite figures are looking really good. Like, they just released this pack that includes like the hang glider and like a trampoline device that you use in the game now. I'm like, holy shit, these look really good. I'm gonna have to pick some of these up someday.
McFarlane lately, like, has been going against his own code of not having articulated figures, and like some of the ones they're making, they look awesome. Like the Fortnite ones, I remember I take a look at them every now and then. I'm like, these are cool looking. But what catches my eye about him now is he's doing those figures for Mortal Kombat 11, and the prototypes that they showed at San Diego actually look pretty awesome and really articulated. So I'm holding out hope, but I can see what you mean about you want to storm Spawn though.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and not just any Spawn. I figured this is how you can get away with it. Because Storm has so many fighting game licenses right now. I mean, they got Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, Tekken, Injustice, to name. And now they've got, like, Golden Axe and a few other ones. They got Gears of War. I want them to get Soul Calibur. And I want Spawn from Soul Calibur 2. Where he's got, like, this big red gauntlet thing on his boot. I don't even know what the hell you call that thing, but like one of his boots, it's just like a big mound of like red and spikes. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's incredible looking. You would never have any trouble standing this figure up because of this thing. It's almost like he has a base attached to his leg. On top of that, the main reason why I would want Spawn made by Storm Collectibles, especially the Soul Calibur version, he came with this gigantic battle axe and it had the Spawn logo on it. It's so freaking cool.
That's a cool sounding accessory too.
Oh dude, it's freaking badass. Like, holy shit. Like, the way the blades look on the side of the axe is just absolutely incredible. Not to mention he could come with a cape and the chains.
Yeah, that would definitely be awesome.
Yeah,
I can see that now that you mention it.
And here's another idea for you. If we could get Spawn from Soul Calibur 2, we could definitely get Link from Soul Calibur 2, because he was in the GameCube version. And the Star Wars characters that were in Soul Calibur 4, like Starkiller, Yoda, Darth Vader.
Like Darth Vader was in Soul Calibur 4. Like, you could get so many different like side characters.
God, yeah, no, this would be insane. So yeah, Storm Collectibles, please make a Spawn figure. That would just be so freaking badass. All right, Cap, so number 4, who do you got? Who's your number 4 most wanted action figure?
I got Storm Collectibles. I think this is my last showing for Storm on here. Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat.
Ooh.
I know they're probably going to get to him eventually. And,
most definitely.
You know, Storm has taken a lot more time with Mortal Kombat than they have with Street Fighter in between different figures. But Shang Tsung is one that I definitely... He's always been one of my favorite characters, kind of like overall.
Yeah.
So I would want to see them do it in such a way where it was like MK3 inspired almost. Where he's like the younger version, where he's got like kind of the eye makeup and stuff would be cool. He could come with like flaming fireballs, like or maybe the ones that come from the ground that you could put on a little stand and it looks like he's like launching three of them like in succession. Got to have his open hands and his little like mantis pose like fighting stance. I think that would be awesome. If they were to go MK1 old man Shang Tsung, I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah.
But if I was to get any of them, I think I would have to get the younger version.
Yeah, if I had a fantasy book it, they're probably going to start with old man Shang Tsung, but then eventually move down to his younger one from MK2.
Oh yeah, I mean basically any version they release I would buy. But
Yeah.
if I'm like fantasy booking everything, like the classic version is the one that I kind of like resonate with the most, and I'm like that's definitely got to happen at some point.
Yeah, they can totally make Old Man Shang Tsung first and then move on to MK2 Shang Tsung and then MK3. And I hope they make MK3 because I absolutely love the makeup that he has because he kind of looks like Lobo.
Yeah, it does. It's very Lobo reminiscent.
Yeah, like Shang Tsung, the main man. So yeah, that would just be totally awesome. And please steer clear of making Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance in his god-awful red armored costume. Jeez.
Yeah, it didn't like stand out in my memory, but that's probably just because I didn't like it that much. But yeah, I prefer his more simpler early game, like I guess his looks from those.
Yeah, same here. Especially for the Storm collectibles and for Shang Tsung. The simpler you can make him, the better, at least in my opinion. Okay, so number 4 for me, and I gotta go back to Storm collectibles. I think the one thing we haven't seen from them is a more translucent figure, kind of like the Iceman figures from Marvel Legends. So I would want Storm collectibles to make Cortana from Halo 4, because I love the way she looked in the first 3 games, but with Halo 4, she looked like an actual woman, and I think they got the curves and everything on her just looked perfect. So they can make a translucent female body and put like that weird kind of coated pattern that she has, and you put her on a light up base, so she's got like the little she could either like the base could be like a Master Chief hand, or it could be just some circular thing, kind of like what the 3/4 inch Cortana figure came with, and it just lights up, so her whole body illuminates that LED style blue and purple pattern. I think that'd be freaking badass. I think Cortana doesn't get enough love from the action figure community, Halo in general, but we'll get more into that later. So, Cap, we're going to move on to you. What do you got for number 3?
My number 3, I'll go ahead and go back to Mattel one more time. And this would have to be an Ultimate Edition, and I'd want a 98/99 Undertaker. And I think this would work because it would have that fabled 98/99 gear that we love so much.
Yep.
You know, with the one they basically made in the network spotlight. Although you'd have to give him like the double jointed elbows and the new articulation and everything. And I think this could work in Ultimate because you'd be able to pack in both the 98 head sculpt with like the teardrop and everything, as well as the Ministry head sculpt.
Yeah.
And have it still be, you know, it would be he basically wore the same gear. And you would be able to pack in like his ideally his Mania 14 entrance gear with like the long robe and like the big collar, as well as perhaps you throw in a cloth like cloak too. So you'd be able to have like his Ministry gear and his 98 gear. It's basically like 2 figures in one, and they're very similar. So I was like, this would be the way to do it. So that would be it. Get that on the market. Ministry / 98 peak Attitude Era Undertaker.
Yeah, as soon as Mattel makes an Ultimate Edition Undertaker, we both know it's going to fly off the shelves.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I would say let's do that, but let's throw in one more alternative head where Undertaker has his eyes rolled into the back of his head and his hair flipped up like what he does when he hits the tombstone on people.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and I mean, he does that too for when he wins matches, so that would be awesome. If they just included a third head where he has his eyes rolled into the back of his head, even for like when he does his entrance, that'd be pretty sick too. But yeah, I gotta agree with you.
Nice.
Yeah. The Ultimate Edition's Undertaker from the late 90s, Mattel's gotta make it. It would just be so freaking cool. So there's one other accessory I'd want this Undertaker to come with. He had this hat that he wore the night after WrestleMania 13, and I think it's also in the promo shots leading up to SummerSlam when he took on Bret Hart. It was a callback. It was kind of a callback to when he was wearing a hat. It was more cowboyish, and it had like an angel on it. And I just thought it was a really cool accessory. And, it's an Ultimate Edition, so why
Yeah,
not?
I forgot about that hat altogether too. So that would be a good inclusion.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, obviously, throw a couple different open hands for his pose and choke slam and some closed fists. You're good to go.
You'd also have to include like a thumbs up for when he does like the throat slit, calling for the tombstone.
Oh, good. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So number 3 for me, Storm Collectibles, Soul Calibur, Ivy.
That's good.
I think they would totally nail her in figure form with the short hair, her very over-the-top revealing outfit, especially with the way Storm is doing the cami figure and the battle dress Chun-Li. I think they would be able to nail the figure sculpt while at the same time not losing articulation. Plus the fucking chain whip sword that she's got. Oh, good lord. You would obviously have to have one sword that's like completely intact and then another sword that has the whip. But the parts that are the whip would be made out of some type of a bendy wire so you can move it and manipulate it in any direction that you wanted.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, she could come with...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, she can come with a bunch of different alternate heads and hands and stuff like that. But yeah, she's always been one of my favorite characters because I don't think we have enough short-haired hotties in video games, and Ivy is definitely up there for me.
She brings the flag into battle very nicely.
Yes. All right, so we're on to our final 2. Number 2 for Cap. Who you got?
Well, let's see. Number 2. I will, just now that you've mentioned Ivy, I guess I should say honorable mention. I would want Lizard Man from Soul Calibur too. Storm.
Oh, badass.
So they need a line. Like if Storm ever gets a hold of Soul Calibur, I'm on board with some of those too. Okay, but my number 2 is I want a SH Monster Arts Kong from the Monsterverse. So Skull Island, that version of Kong. I think it would go great with the Godzilla stuff they've been releasing the past couple years, as well as the upcoming Kong versus Godzilla movie. I assume he's probably going to look about the same. And the last Kong we got from Monster Arts was the Peter Jackson one. So that's its own unique design, but I would like to see a more accurate Kong to what he looks like these days in the movies. And I think, obviously, the Monster Arts line is the place to put him.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's got to be coming. I can't see them not wanting to make a Kong from either Skull Island or Godzilla versus Kong.
I'm hopeful. I mean, I don't know how, like, NECA didn't make a Skull Island figure, SH Monster Arts didn't make a Skull Island figure, so I'm hoping to see something. I know Mezco recently released their Kong figure, and it is good for what it is, but it doesn't scale well with the Monster Arts figures. So there's still that hole in my collection that needs to be filled.
Yeah. I haven't really seen much on that Kong. Is it like in the same scale as just a standard Mezco figure?
Just about. Yeah, like it's if you were to stand him next to a like the, for example, the Rebirth Godzilla, the 90 like the Monster Arts one, he would stand taller than that Godzilla. So like
okay. Yeah,
he's bulky, he's a big figure, he's got a lot of weight to him. He's not as like articulated as the Monster Arts stuff would be, but he's got a decent range of motion. Mm-hmm. I think I've seen people put him next to the that light up Godzilla, the one that's like a little taller and has the sounds and everything.
Yeah,
and they look good together because that Godzilla is like a full inch taller than him, and so they scale the scale looks a lot better. But yeah, I definitely just want my MonsterVerse Kong because I know that they would make him fully articulated. They'd give him enough cool expressions in different hands and maybe a pack-in or two. Give him like a one of the skulls from like Skull Island that's like on the ground, like of his ancestors or whatever. That could be something cool they could throw in.
Oh shit, that'd be dope.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. That's my number 2.
Oh god, I love that. All right, so number 2 for me, going back to Storm Collectibles once again. They've got the Gears of War license. I'd love for them to get the Halo license because I want them to make the definitive Master Chief figure.
Nice.
Oh my god. Like, honestly, price this thing at $200. He includes every single gun that's in Halo 1, 2 to 3. And just give him that perfect armor. Give him a smaller version of Cortana that could, like, go up, like, on a display or something like that, that can light up. But just give him that. Give him like some like battle damage looking armor that could get popped off and replaced. And yeah, I'd just be in love. Just go for it. Just one time. Make Master Chief include everything that could fucking come with him, and just do it. Just do it.
That'd be awesome. It's amazing to me how like nobody has actually released that one definitive version of Master Chief since Halo's been around for so long and so many people like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of other attempts to make a Master Chief figure in that 7-8 inch scale. I mean, McFarlane Toys has had the line for a long time. Jazzwares are like Playmates. They had the Halo license years ago around Halo 1 and Halo 2. They made a bunch of different figures, and they were good for what they were at the time. But, I mean, in 2019, we have made so many strides in action figure, how they're made, the articulation and whatnot. So we just need to get a new definitive version of Master Chief.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, especially with Halo 6 on horizon, with Chief's return in all his glory. Let's get a new figure for him. And it's got to be made by Storm. No one else.
They do great work. I know they would do it justice.
Or Injustice. Shut up, Chase. Okay. Cap, who you got? Who's your number one?
Number one, yeah, with the technicality, the asterisk of non-Hagar figures, I'm going to go once again to Monster Arts. And this time, it's going to be the original 1933 King Kong. That's the one that I want.
Nice.
I don't know how they could do it. I don't know, like, the licensing for that is all over the place. Who they would have to call and work that out. But that is, the movie that got me into big monsters in the first place. It's the whole reason why I like Godzilla as much as I do now, and Kong and all that kind of stuff, is because I watched that movie from an impressionable age. It's also why I like stop motion animation so much. So to have a really articulated, awesome looking figure from that movie would be like ideal for me. I would love to see it with different like expressions on the head, some different hands. He could come with like a few different things that he uses in the movie. Like you could put the chains on him a lot, like similar to the Mezco figure that just came out. He could come with an Andero hand, like the pretty much every version of Kong has had at one point or another. They can even go full on like the McFarlane figure from like 15 years ago or whatever that was, where he comes with the stage that he's on when he's chained up in New York when they first have the opening night of the show. Mm-hmm. Like anything like that would be. That'd be it. That'd be perfect for me.
See, I thought for a second there you're going to go with King Kong from the 1970s with Jeff Bridges. Oh, God.
He would have to come with Jeff Bridges, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yep. I would almost rather have Jeff Bridges from that movie than Kong from that movie. But that movie's... It's Mortal Kombat Annihilation-ish in its appreciation from me.
All right, so sadly, this is the portion where I couldn't really get Cap's audio and mine to sync up properly, so he's not going to really be in this part where I discuss my number one, but my number one choice for my most wanted action figures after the first list is Bayonetta by Storm Collectibles. Of course, who else could make it? I mean, look at the work they've already done with the female figures they've released so far with Chun-Li and Cammy and their upcoming Mortal Kombat figures. I think they're the only company that can make a fully articulated Bayonetta figure and do her justice and keep the sculpt on the body with a ton of articulation and accessories. Because Bayonetta's got the 4 guns, 2 in her hands, 2 attached to her heels, and then she's got a shit ton of weapons. She can come with a bunch of different lollipops and candies and charms because she is a witch. She has all these different things that she uses in battle. Oh my goodness. She could have the butterfly wings from Madame Butterfly. She could have her panther form. Obviously, you're going to have to make 2. You're going to have to make Bayonetta from Bayonetta 1 and 2. Now, the thing with her, if you guys have never played Bayonetta, is that she is an Umbran witch whose hair is her clothing. So her like skin-tight leather outfit is actually her hair. But she does these moves called Wicked Weaves where she summons up demons and like giant fists and heels to kick people from hell and the netherworld or whatever. And she uses her hair as a conjuring tool. So as she's using her hair, she becomes more and more naked. I mean, obviously it's a pervy Japanese thing, but it's so freaking cool. Like Storm could include a number of different leg attachments and arm attachments and stuff like that just to make it look like she's slowly using her wicked weaves. So I just think that'd be freaking dope as hell if we got Bayonetta 1 and 2 with a number of different costumes, because she dresses up like Fox McCloud, like Link. She has a sexy Princess Peach and Princess Daisy from Mario costumes. Oh, God. So, yeah, I would just freaking love that if Storm could do that. That's my number one want right now. Like, I actually want that more than the Mike Hagar from Storm is Bayonetta. Because the only Bayonetta figure that I know of was the one from Play Arts Kai. They're the ones that make like those 9 to 11 inch figures. And yeah, so far, Bayonetta and Jean from Bayonetta 1 are the only ones from the Bayonetta universe. We need more figures of her. My girl needs some justice in this world, damn it. So let's go ahead and cut back to the end of the podcast with Cap and I. And let's find out what Captain McKay is going to be up to in the next couple of weeks. Cap, so what do you got going on? What's coming down the pipe?
Well, nothing immediate. I have been posting some little things on Instagram from time to time. Some of my Mortal Kombat stop motion that I've been working on. So, I mean, that's still a ways off before I have any kind of release date for that. But check out my Instagram if you're interested in that kind of thing. I'm at Captain McKay. And every week on Wednesdays, most every week, I try to do the Captain's Log live stream, 8 p.m. my time, which is Eastern. So, stop in, have a chat, say hi. We'll talk about some figures and TV and movies and whatever we got. So that's what I got for now.
Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Captain McKay's live streams, please do so. They are a lot of fun. I think I've coined the term before, but he needs to call his audience the Captain's Crew. And seriously, I said this on the podcast when Cap and I were talking, but I lost the audio, but I'm going to say it again so you can hear his reaction to it. But he has some of the best fans in the world. Of all the years I've been on YouTube and stuff like that, I partake in a lot of live streams and stuff like that. I think Cap has like the most genuine, down-to-earth, honest, and fun group of people that follow him. And I think that just comes from him being just such a likable guy.
That's definitely something that I'm happy about over the years of being on like YouTube and everything, is like I don't have necessarily the hugest group of like subscribers or, for example, whatever, that kind of thing, but I do, every time I post a video, I'll see the same names in the comments, and they're not just saying like cool video or something, like kind of a throwaway thing. It's usually like their genuine thoughts on what they've just seen, and they're taking time to watch what I've done, and I love that. I think that's really awesome that they're actually like invested in what they're watching, as opposed to just saying like, cool, now make this next or something like that, to that effect. So I mean, I'm happy with everybody that watches my stuff, especially the repeat viewers who come back and watch the newer things, or they'll go back and watch the older stuff again. Like, I'm always happy about that, and I do consider myself pretty lucky that I guess the core group of viewers that I have is just down-to-earth good people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that statement more. Just down-to-earth good people in Captain McKay's live streams. The Captain's Log, that's the name of the live streams. So another thing we talked about, we did some music recommendations, because eventually this podcast is going to go to an audio form, and it'll be in like several different, you can find in several different places like SoundCloud, iTunes, and stuff like that. I'm still holding out until I hit 10 episodes to make sure that, this is something I really want to do and I want to invest the money in it. So starting off with the music recommendation I have for this week is going to be a YouTuber by the name of LittleV. He does pretty much metal covers of famous video game songs, and he's most recently done Kenny Omega's entrance theme for AEW. So if you haven't heard that, I'm going to have a link for it right down in the description. Captain McKay, any music you would like to recommend?
Well, after watching Stranger Things not too long ago, I'm into like more like synthwave type stuff, and I went back and revisited this guy called Carpenter Brut. I don't know if it's a guy or a group or whatever it is, but there's a couple albums for you to check out. The latest one is called Leather Teeth, and it's basically like John Carpenter synthesizer inspired music that could accompany like either a horror movie or a thriller or just anything like that. It's very uneasy. It's very upbeat at times. If you watch him on YouTube, he's actually there's music videos that go along with it. That's a bunch of like spliced together footage from like old slasher movies, and it all flows and it's really cool. So that's what I've been into a little bit lately. It's good background music. There's really no like, well, not many lyrics to be spoken of. So it's something you could put on while you're doing something else. You don't have to like pay attention to lyrics too much. And it's real cool. So if you like that kind of ambient, Stranger Things-ish type synth music, you may enjoy it.
So, after the podcast, I did check out that Leather Teeth album that Captain McKay recommended from Carpenter Brut, and I dig it. So, if you like the synthwave style music, definitely check it out. You won't be disappointed. Gotta say thank you again to Captain McKay Random. Be sure to check out his channel. Stay tuned for his live streams that happen every single Wednesday. The Captain's Log. We are the Captain's Crew, and we boldly go wherever he goes. I don't know where I'm going with it. So I'll just say thank you, Captain McKay.
Yeah, definitely, man. Always good to catch up with you in real time.
And lastly, I will say, woke up this morning. It's now Sunday. I'm putting in the final touches on the podcast. There was another frickin' mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio. I guess there was also one in Chicago. And dude, just what the fuck? God damn it. Here's what I think of that. It's bullshit. Anyway, this is Chase from BurnoutInc. Thank you for listening to my crap, and I'll see you next time.